What's cracking, party people? It's your girl Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ, coming to you live from Cape Town, South Africa. Today I'm interviewing Dr. Melissa Sassi right here on NIKKI BANZ Live! What up, what up, what up, what up, beautiful people? Hello, one, hello, all. What an absolute treat to see you all here today. You guys know I took a little bit of a hiatus last week. It was the first time in many months, in many moons that I did not host NIKKI BANZ Live, and that's because last week was my birthday. Hey, happy birthday to ya. Hey, happy birthday to ya. Hey, happy birthday. All right. How was my singing, y'all? Did you like it? Was it good? Did you like it? Okay. So, your girl NIKKI BANZ turned 32 last week, and I spent the day focusing on me, doing some energetic alignment work, seeing my acupuncturist, journaling, and spending some quality time with my lovely boyfriend, who I know y'all have been seeing on the gram and y'all have been very excited about. So that's what I did on my birthday last week, and my amazing guest, the one and only Dr. Melissa Sassi, who was scheduled for last week, was so gracious to push herself and postpone herself until today. And so now I am bringing you an incredible, exclusive, hour-long conversation with the one and only Melissa here today on NIKKI BANZ Live. Amazing. Okay, the Ben Gillies is saying my singing was on point. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate you. Okay, I see my girl Christine is also here giving a big happy birthday. Thank you. All the heart eyes, all the happy birthdays. I appreciate you. I'm so grateful for this new chapter of life. I am so grateful for NIKKI BANZ Live, for the show that you all tune into, whether you're watching live here on Instagram right now or you're watching the rerun on YouTube. I could not do this without you. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being here every single Tuesday. I am interviewing the most interesting, the most dynamic, the most fascinating artists, activists, entertainers, entrepreneurs, and influencers across the globe. And today is very special because I've never had a guest like Melissa on the show before. I've definitely had people who are entrepreneurs, definitely had people who have founded their own companies, but never someone who is a digital intelligence, a digital and technology expert. Okay, this is gonna be so interesting because I think she's gonna add such fresh and dynamic context, not only to the show, but to what every single one of you guys is trying to do. The reality of living in this digital world, the reality of having dialogues across the African continent, across the world, and being able to connect the dots, whether it's across social media, tech, all these things. So I'm super excited, and I hope you guys are too. I'm seeing all sorts of amazing people coming through. Ills OG in the building. I'm seeing Ozzy is here. I'm seeing Ruchita, Jinal, hello. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Omri Malik, where's Mel? Mel's coming on soon. Very soon. I'm gonna bring her on in just a couple of moments, so hang tight. Once again, you're here with me, Nicole Banister, on NIKKI BANZ Live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at @TheyCallMeBands, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ. You can watch every single interview with every single guest that I've ever had here on the show. Once again, every single Tuesday, bringing you these incredible conversations with some of the most fascinating people around the globe. And I'm telling you, Melissa Sassi is one of the most fascinating people I've ever met and seen on this earth, so it's gonna be amazing. So you guys already know the vibes. For the last month, almost 2 months now, at the beginning of every single episode of NIKKI BANZ Live, I have to give a shout out and I have to talk about what's happening in Iran right now. If you don't know, you're gonna learn today, all right? The women in Iran and the people of Iran are in the middle of a revolution. They're fighting for their freedom of choice. They're fighting for freedom to be able to wear what they want to wear, to be able to have the education that they want to have, to be able to move freely through their own country in the way that they want to. Your girl NIKKI BANZ is half Black American, half Iranian. So this is super important to me. It should be super important to you as well, because women's rights are human rights and all of us are human. So please share something about Iran. Please give a shout out somewhere so that people know what's happening in Iran, because it is absolutely critical that we continue to spread the word and support our female sisters all across the globe, Iran included. All right, everybody, I appreciate y'all. And I always appreciate the love. Keep sharing the love. So, like I said, today is an interview with the one and only Dr. Melissa Sassi. Now, her title, ladies, gentlemen, however you identify, her title at IBM, okay? Tech giant, computer giant IBM. Her title is Chief Penguin, okay? Penguin. You heard it right, party people. Her title is Chief Penguin, and we're going to learn all about what she does. She is an expert in digital literacy, digital inclusion, and ensuring that young people around the world have access to the technology that they need in order to thrive. And not only that they have access to it, but they also know how to use it. She is a multiple-time United Nations speaker. She's the founder of her own nonprofit called Mentor Nations, creating access for young people to have computers and coding skills in Tunisia, across the African continent, and across the world. And I mean, honestly, I'm really only just like scratching the surface of all the amazing things that this woman does. So party people, without any further ado, it is time to bring on the one and only Dr. Melissa Sassi right here on NIKKI BANZ Live. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready, party people? Are you ready? Let's get the drum roll going. Let's go! Here we go. Woo!
Yes! Hey, hello, how are you? Let me get my camera set up. I've got this nice red tone behind me. I promise I'm not in the red light district. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, anyway. I love that little disclaimer. I love that whenever you tell people to follow you on social media, you're like, enter at your own risk. And I'm here for it.
That's what you have to do, I swear. You know, I don't know about you, but I believe in being unapologetically me. And yeah, I know you do too. And I think that sometimes that's hard in the, in the world of, in the corporate world. And by the way, you don't know this yet, Nikki, but I left the corporate world and I am now an entrepreneur, full-time, doing my thing. I don't know if I'm failing or succeeding, but I'm doing the thing.
Oh my gosh. No more corporate world for you. You are an entrepreneur doing your own thing. And to be fair, you've been an entrepreneur for a while now.
I have, and it's funny. I kind of felt like I was this kind of fake entrepreneur. And what I mean by that is I was out doing all these talks about, entrepreneurship and, your hustle and, the concept of building and scaling and thriving. And I realized that, wait a second, I have a corporate salary that I get every, 2 flipping weeks. And I don't depend on my, entrepreneurial endeavors to pay my rent, to feed my kids, to pay my car. And I felt like such a sham. I felt like such an imposter. And I decided to take the big leap, and it is hard. Oh my gosh.
Girl, okay, first off, I'm so excited for you. Congratulations on taking that big leap. I know from personal experience how hard it is to jump off that cliff and to say, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not gonna
and to monetize your network, be at the point where you can talk to your, and I have a lot of friends who are, billionaires, run funds, have like gobs of money. And I have struggled my entire life to figure out how do you come to these individuals who are high net worth individuals or angel investors and say, I have an idea, here's the value proposition, here's the target market, here's my business model, here's the solution I've created, here's why you should care. I've done it a gazillion times for so many other people.
Except for yourself.
Except for myself. And I had watched over the last, I don't know how many years, so many of my friends become millionaires, become billionaires. And I realized that in many cases, I was helping to guide them and helping them with their pitch deck, or helping them shape their value proposition, or the product market fit, or whatever. And what was I getting out of it? Absolutely nothing.
Right.
And I thought, you know what? I don't know. I'm going to do this thing and see where it goes.
Yes, yes. And your time is now. You are absolutely shining. And what an incredible and interesting moment in your life and in your career to be doing this. And I think, you know, so one of the things I like to do here on NIKKI BANZ Live is kind of tell folks how I know the guests who I'm interviewing. And it's so interesting because you and I actually met when you were back at Microsoft. So this is like 5 years ago. When you were at Microsoft, I had taken a very brief stint from living in South Africa. I'm in Cape Town right now. I had taken a brief stint. I had gone back to DC, working for this organization called Atlas Corps, and we were collaborating on placing fellows from Tunisia and around the world together. And
by the way, oh my gosh, you all set me up with the most amazing fellows. As a matter of fact, Ons Garvey, I don't know if she's on or not, but Ons and I, we still stay in touch. She and I spoke this summer, and she just, you know, got a new job in somewhere in Canada. I'm failing to remember where, but at any rate, she's just like moving and shaking, and yeah.
Incredible. And that's literally like the entire ethos of what you do, Melissa. You are someone who helps to launch young people. You are someone who helps to launch different organizations. And I think it's so incredible to see you, instead of doing that for Microsoft, instead of doing that for Goldman Sachs, instead of doing that for IBM, now you're doing it for yourself.
But I think of it not as just doing it for myself, but also doing it, you know, for and with, you know, whomever I'm collaborating with. So I saw the Cabo Verde Digital team. Big shout out to them. So I just spent a month in Praia, the capital of Cape Verde. So for those of you who might not be familiar with Cape Verde, which I'm sure Nikki's like, okay, I totally got that, know exactly where that place is. For those of you who don't, it's a small island state off of the west coast of Africa. 500,000 people live, you know, within the 10 islands. 9 are inhabited, 9 are inhabited, 1 is not. And I worked together with their Ministry of Digital Economy, their Secretary of State. There we go. Melissa rocks, the best of the best. Yay.
Yay.
I had an opportunity not just to, you know, drink grogo, which is their, you know, kind of natural spirits, if you will, that is made from sugarcane. So I didn't just go there to drink grogo, I promise, even though I did drink a lot of grogo. Yeah. But it was all about how do we enable and how do we you know, empower, you know, people in Cape Verde, young people specifically, with digital skills, with access to you know, tech entrepreneurship, you know, so that kind of end-to-end zone of making sure, of course there's grogo, Joelle, come on, dude. I might have even mentioned drinking grogo to the Prime Minister of the country when I met him.
Well, clearly it's a national icon. You had to tell the icon about the iconic drink.
Yeah, I don't know if it was quite politically correct to, you know, ask him if he drinks grogo, to mention I love grogo, and then to look over to the Secretary of State of the country, who is absolutely a badass, Pedro Lopez, youngest Secretary of State in the country, if I'm not mistaken, and say to him, I bet you Pedro doesn't know how to make grogo. Yeah, I think I got in trouble for that, I think.
You know what? Even if you did get in trouble for that, this is what we love about you. Your zest for life, your ability to have the most actual conversations with the highest net worth and the highest level people, like prime ministers or secretaries of state. And I think what you mentioned earlier, Melissa, about how, you're not just working for yourself, you're actually working to create ecosystems for young people, for countries and communities that don't typically have, access to the digital world in the way that maybe we do in the global north or in the United States. And I'm curious, like, what is that driving factor for you? Because at the end of the day, people, people who work across the country, who have, long successful careers in corporate like you've had, aren't typically thought of as the people who want to go and then sort of have this kind of social impact. They don't care about sort of decreasing the digital divide. Those aren't things that people typically think of, but it's always been in the cornerstone of your values and what you do. And why is that?
I'll tell you, gosh, I'm going to try to give you the shortened version because I'm a talker, and my personal story is also something that, is, it's my origin story. It's what, kind of is what I would say the secret sauce behind, my passion and my strength, and what kind of wakes me up in the morning, what brought me to say, hey, this is the thing that you were born to do. This is the thing that you were meant to do. This is why you should wake up and brush your teeth and, comb your hair and talk to Nikki and everybody else today. For those of you who don't know my story, and I don't know if you do or not, Nikki, so I'm going to let it all out. And I've told this story before, so it's not a new story, but it's something very deeply personal to me. About 13, 14 years ago, my children were, my children and I became victims of parental kidnapping. And, if you think about the in the grand scheme of really bad shit that can happen to people, that ranks right up there as your worst nightmare.
Right.
And, a lot of people kind of tell me or have told me over the years, things like, oh, why didn't you do this? Or why didn't you do that? Kind of this coulda, shoulda, woulda kind of thing. And I try not to think about that because I think in the past, I look back and I think, oh yeah, why didn't I have their passports in a safety deposit box? But who thinks about that? It's not something that comes to mind, right?
Right.
And at any rate, it happened. My husband and I, my ex-husband and I were going through a divorce. And one day he picked up the kids, took them to school, or instead of taking them to school, took them to the airport. A mother's worst nightmare. Whether you're the best mother on earth, the worst mother on earth, doesn't flipping matter. That's your worst nightmare. It's like death. It's like cancer. It's getting fired from your job. It's awful things that can happen. And I kind of flailed for a while. Because I tried through the legal system to get them back. I wasn't successful. And I decided that I had an opportunity to play the long game. And what I mean by that is look at, the bad thing that had happened and say, what I can do is I can make sure that my kids know that they have a mother, know that their mother loves them, send them gifts every month that, was not financial in nature. It took me 3 years before I built up the, I don't know if it was courage or if it was, just strength, whatever it was, to be able to say, okay, now I'm going to go. Because I knew where they were. Right. Okay. So many parents who have been in this kind of situation before, don't know where their kids are. They're like, I have no idea. My kids were kidnapped by, their father. I don't know where they are. Or, for me, I knew exactly where they were, but because of a lot of, legal and family challenges and, U.S. jurisdiction, that sort of thing, I couldn't get them back. And so I went for the first time. It was hard, it was really, really, really hard. I couldn't take the kids out of the house. I had to stay in the family home. And, imagine that's happened to you. That's the last place you want to chill out in for your vacation for 2 weeks. Even if you're going to visit your kids, hard as hell, no matter how strong you are, especially as a woman who, didn't speak the language. They were in Tunisia, so small country, North Africa, sandwiched in between Algeria and Libya, as you know, home of the Arab Spring, spark of the, Jasmine Revolution. And wow, I realized that during that trip that I needed to have my own independence. I needed to have my own network, and damn it, I needed to learn how to speak the language. And Tunisian Arabic is not a language that you just, go and take a class and learn, like other forms of Arabic, It's not a written dialect. It's a spoken dialect. And so the only way that you're going to learn to speak this dialect is hanging out in the country, hanging out with people from the country. It's not like they have these books that are like, come and learn Tunisian Arabic today.
No Duolingo about Tunisian
No, none of that stuff exists, especially like 13, 14 years ago, right? And so fast forward, I kept going as much as I could, and, some false starts and some this and some that, but I worked really hard to, at that time, make some friends in New York, which is where I was living, who spoke Tunisian Arabic. And one of the guys was a bartender, and I just essentially went and hung out at his bar and paid him by, buying drinks. And I'm like, listen, speak to me only in your dialect. Even if I don't understand anything, just talk to me.
Wow.
And I'm a good learner when it comes to languages. So I picked up a lot and built up some clout. One day, I'll fast forward a little bit because I know I'm going down this rabbit hole. So I promise I'm catching us up soon.
Yes,
I was working at Microsoft at the time, and we were doing this big campaign, and it was about women in STEM. And my daughter, I sent the video to my daughter. My daughter Zahra, my oldest, who's now 20. And I said to her, hey, check out this video. And she's like, wow, Mom, can girls do that? It was about science and technology and engineering and math. And I was like, yeah. She brought it to her school. She showed it to her class. And it really sparked this conversation in the classroom about the things that girls can do. And that essentially it was like girls can do anything. And my daughter then, fast forward a little bit longer, my daughter comes back to me and she said, Mommy, guess what? I'm like, what? She said, I'm learning Microsoft. I'm like, what do you mean you're learning Microsoft? That's her accent. Yeah. And those of you from Tunisia or French-speaking country, you recognize it, yeah. And so it's like, I realized she was learning Word in her classroom without any computers, meaning they had one for the classroom. We've all seen this before, whether you live in Tunisia, the continent, the world, it's common, unfortunately. And I thought, you know what? I may not have been able to be the mother I could have been, the mother I should have been, but I can get computers into that damn classroom. I work at Microsoft. Anyway, that was at that time. So fast forward, sent 400 laptops to 20 schools across the country, created the digital skills movement, all really sparked from my daughter saying that she didn't have computers in her classroom. I realized that it was something that took my pain away. It allowed me to compartmentalize what was going on in my life. It gave me a purpose. It gave me meaning. And it gave me something to be proud of. It gave me a network. And it gave me a reason to continue to go back to this small North African country that I now consider home. Many of my best friends now, believe it or not, are Tunisian. Funny enough, one would think that I would have had enough of being with a Tunisian man after my first experience, but my partner's Tunisian. I don't know what's in the water, but there's something going on there.
Mashallah, mashallah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, I don't know. So my oldest daughter is now in now in the U.S. My other two are finishing up school. And, when they're able to make their own decisions, meaning at 18 years of age, they will make a decision around where do they want to be. And I've enabled them to recognize that at 18, they are adults and they can choose versus me choosing for them. It's been hard as hell, but there you go.
Wow.
That's where my passion comes from.
I mean, Melissa, talk about an origin story. I mean, the absolute heartbreak and tragedy of having your children just completely disappear on you. And I of all people, I actually do understand what you have gone through, not from my own lived experience, but my aunts. I have an aunt who is in the exact same situation that you are in, from Iran, and the
There's
husband.
so many stories like this, and I always
Yes.
hate to be the one who looks at it and is stereotypical or says, oh, people from this part of the world do blah. I don't think like that. And that's
Right.
not how my brain works. And I never support these kind of narratives.
Right.
And I think, that was part of the anger for me when people would say to me, well, he's an Arab. Why didn't you put the passports in the, in the safety deposit box? Like, don't you know that these people do that? And even when this happened to me, I still said, not every person who might come from this religion or this part of the world is like this. Just like,
Right.
There's certain things about me that, whatever,
Yes, exactly. And your resolve and your ability to make that distinction and say, this doesn't have anything to do with the fact that this man is Tunisian. This doesn't have anything to do with the fact that this man is Muslim. This doesn't have anything to do with the fact that this man is from Africa. This has everything to do with the fact that he individually
he made a bad decision. He made a bad decision,
And I think it's so critical, because this is when we start to think about how we stereotype the world, how people have different perceptions of different places and different countries. It's so critical to say that, you cannot categorize an entire nation of people. You cannot categorize an entire religion of people.
That's right.
There are certain people who make certain bad decisions that negatively.
That's right. And sometimes they do it in the name of, of culture or religion or country or region or whatever, but it's rubbish. It's not. It's just lack of either lack of education or pride or arrogance or I don't know, just crazy town. But either way, it's no bueno.
Right, exactly. And to hear you sort of share your own experience and how you took that and you were able to do the best you could, be the mother on the terms that were prescribed to you by the universe, not the terms that you wanted, but the terms given to you, and say, you know what, I'm going to find a way to still be connected in my daughter's life, in my kid's life, no matter what the circumstances are, and to then have that become this, not only a personal thing, but also now a professional skill set and quest for digital literacy, not just in Tunisia, but around the world, is really, really powerful. And this resolve, this resilience that you have is something that's so motivating. I'm so grateful that you shared this story, because I think people needed to hear that today.
It took me a long time, Nikki, to be able to talk about it openly. Like, for example, right after it happened, I didn't tell anybody at work. And then I started a new job. I didn't tell anybody there. I started a new job after that. I didn't tell anybody there. And then one day I realized, like, I just couldn't do it anymore. And I remember going through my performance review with my boss, and, I was a director on Wall Street. I worked at BlackRock. I was a VP at, Goldman Sachs. My next spot when I was at BlackRock would have been becoming a managing director. And I was in my 30s. I was like making money hand over fist. Things were great, financially. And what was interesting in kind of a bad way, is when something bad happens to you in your life, or you're down and out, and you really need people to be there for you, you really, really find out who your friends are. Because when shit's not going well and you're just, whether it's your fault or not, you know exactly who your friends are and who are not. Like, even, I would say my mother and I even had a very, very bad falling out, because after everything had happened, I didn't know how to compartmentalize things, because I didn't have my volunteer work at the time. I didn't have my thing, I was just flailing, drinking too much, going to too many parties, traveling too much, because I didn't know how to handle and manage things. So I went to work. After work, I just go and, like, drink. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I just go and drink and hang out,
numb.
at parties. I just needed to numb myself, you know, and, you know, I would travel every single weekend because I could not be alone. You know, all my friends, you know, for a year alternated between, you know, sleeping on my couch.
Wow.
You know, my friend Max, thank God, you know, his wife Nicole allowed him to sleep on my couch. Like, and imagine, like, and nothing, there was never anything, you know, anything like, you know, romantic or anything like that. Thank God, because if he did not sleep on my couch between him and Tola and a few other friends, I would have been dead. I would have like slit my wrist, taken a bunch of pills. I would have been gone. Like, I just couldn't handle it. And after a while, I think with the digital literacy thing, I learned how to compartmentalize things. I learned how to talk about my pain. I learned how to channel it into something positive and say, wow, my connection to my kids is the internet and them having skills to make meaningful use of the internet. And that for me is being a mother. And so then I started pouring all my work into that. And then I started getting super pumped up about, you know, not just digital skills and access to the internet, but the important role that those things play in terms of driving outcomes for people. And at that time, for me, it was being a mother, a digital mother, right? And I looked around the world and I thought, well, what do those things mean to real people? And then I saw, well, wait a second. It means good health and well-being. So it means getting access to telemedicine. Okay. Well, it also means getting access to quality education.
Yep.
Okay. Especially during COVID. It means economic prosperity. It means becoming an entrepreneur. Wow. And this is where I got really turned on to the whole, you know, startup ecosystem. And, you know, now I am advising a lot of different companies. I'm happy to talk about them, but you know, when the time is right, because I've got a bunch of shout outs I'd love to do, yes, you know, to some of the companies. So, yeah.
Absolutely. What I'm really hearing from you, Melissa, and I'm seeing people in the comments saying, Ishmael is saying woot woot with the penguin emoji. I'm seeing Moha Asghari saying amazing, Melissa. I'm seeing Osham's Razor saying this is so
Hey,
cool.
Moha. Hey, hello from Tehran. By the way, Moha is joining us. Tehran in the house. Yeah.
Amazing. So,
I think,
so
Nikki,
powerful.
you mentioned you're half Persian, right?
Yes, I am half Persian. Absolutely.
I love that. I had no idea. I love that.
Yes, yes. One of my not so best kept secrets.
That's okay.
I feel like what I'm really hearing from you is that your ability to share your personal story in a corporate environment and with the people around you actually then allowed you to really solidify your sense of self, your identity, who you are, and then that actually didn't hinder from your corporate experience, from your professional experience.
Yeah, sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes it did.
Okay.
You know, sometimes it did, certainly.
Wow.
I would love to say that, you know, I was like always included in everything and seen. At IBM, I remember, I'll give you an example. At IBM, I had this GM that I rolled up to, and he was like, I don't know, a gazillion people above me. Even though I was, you know, the head of my program and I was the founder and creator of the startup program in my division, I still had, you know, some layers. Welcome to corporate, you know, to big tech, or welcome to IBM. Yeah. And this big boss, if you will, the GM, you know, had probably thousands of people worldwide on his team, and he was one of my mentors. And he said to me, Melissa, I know that you are not going to be here forever. You're not going to be an IBM lifer, and I know that. You know, he'd been at the company for 45 years, only job he ever had. But
Wow.
he was very outside in, you know, very innovative, very progressive, very disruptive, you know, and owns a very, very significant portion of, you know, IBM P&L, you know,
Wow.
IBM revenue, customers, that sort of thing. He said, I want you in my team as long as you'll stay. He goes, and frankly speaking, but kind of scare the shit out of people sometimes. And you sometimes make people uncomfortable. And when he said that, I was like, oh my, I felt really uncomfortable myself. Like, oh my gosh, I'm making people uncomfortable. Like, what does that mean? And I didn't know what to say. I was kind of listening and in shock, feeling really bad about myself. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? I'm weird. I'm strange. I'm an imposter. Oh my gosh, I want to go crawl in a, you know, put my head in the sand. And so he said to me, before you continue to overthink that, because I can see your brain working, Melissa, I want you to keep making people uncomfortable, because you push people there, you push their limits. You're, as you say, unapologetically you, and you're not afraid to be different. You're not afraid to be you, and not everyone has that same comfort. You know, you embrace yourself, the good and the bad. You're vulnerable. When, you know, you just say it like it is. Yes. And whatever you want to say, you just say it, and you're not afraid to play these politics. And he said, within the world of IBM, I've never met anyone like you. So again, keep doing what you're doing, but I want you to stay as long as you'll stay.
Wow. And this is what I'm talking about, Melissa. It is hard for people to do that. It is so hard for people to show up unapologetically and authentically themselves. The good, the bad, the shining bright.
It's taken me a long time. I'm 47. I'm 47, and I just, oh, is that Nicole? Hey, Nicole, I didn't realize you were on. That is Max's wife. I see her. Hey, I don't know if you know this, Nicole. I don't know if you know this or not, but you and your husband saved my life. So thank you for that.
Beautiful. Shout out to Nicole. Shout out to everybody who's tuning in. I see that Oham shared something again, saying they had a similar experience in academia, trying to find their voice while struggling with mental health. It wasn't an inclusive space. And so I would just love to hear from you, for all the people who are watching this, who either work corporate jobs, who work in academia, who are trying to find their voice in a company or in a corporate structure or in a professional setting that doesn't allow for them to really come out and say, this is who I am. How did you do it? What advice do you have for these people, for me, for everyone?
Oh, you know what? I think that a couple of things. You have to have somewhat of a supporting structure around you. You know, if you've got a misogynist boss who just doesn't like you, I mean, or that person just has a specific personality where, like, you're not going to win, it may not be about you doing something, you know, different, you know. I've been in a situation where my boss hated my guts, and I knew I got a new boss. I knew that person hated my guts. I knew that person wanted me to die in a fire. I knew it.
Wow.
I just could feel it. I knew it, you know, and I could tell I could tell that person was working me out. And so I approached it head on. I'm like, I know you don't like me. Frankly speaking, I don't like you either. But we have a job to do. I know you're trying to work me out. How much time do I have before you work me out? And can we do this amicably?
Wow. Head on.
And it was scary. Like, I cried every single day for a flippin' month. And I was gutted because before that individual came in, I loved my job. I loved it. I was so passionate. Everything was perfect, you know? And then that person came in, and it destroyed my world. It also destroyed my identity. Wow. And what that made me do in the future is realize, you know what? And it took a long time to get there. Sometimes people are just not going to like you. Yeah. They're not going to like you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Nikki, think about it. Like, do you like everyone?
No. And I know people don't like me. I know that.
No, there are many people like, I hate your guts. Get out of my way. you're toxic. I don't, you're an asshole. Sorry. I don't want to, I don't want anything to do with you,
Right.
And so why should I expect, that people should like me? Because I know I am outspoken. I say what I think. I say what I mean. I'm direct, and I try to be nice, but sometimes I can be harsh, and sometimes I'm grumpy. I can be whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone, is not going to like you. And so what I've realized is that I need to be respectful and empathetic, but I've got to be me. And and I have to be comfortable in my own skin and accept who I am, and realize that I come in, I do the best that I can. I may fall flat on my face, and that's okay. And I may come home crying and be like, oh my God, I'm such a loser, and I totally failed, and what am I doing being an entrepreneur? Or, oh my gosh, why did I leave IBM? And oh my gosh, I haven't landed all these big contracts yet. Or, oh, this thing didn't work out. So what? It's where you are right now. You have to live in the here and now, do your best. And I gave a talk in Germany last week, and it was all about being unapologetically you, being authentic. And if you think about it, when you meet someone and they're not themselves, they've got like a wall up, or you ask someone, sorry, Mahmoud, this one's for you. When you ask someone, hey, what's wrong? And on their face, them very well, there's something wrong, and they don't tell you. You're like, oh my God, is it me? Did I do something? Are we breaking up? Do you hate me? We create this narrative in our head around, what's wrong with that person, or what's wrong with me. And it just creates a challenge. So I think it's really important that we have to be ourselves, because at the end of the day, nobody likes a fake, nobody likes fake.
Exactly.
You knew that was coming, Mahmoud. Nobody likes fake, and everyone can see right the hell through it.
Yes.
And being vulnerable does not make you weak. It makes you more of a leader.
Yes.
And it is a superpower, an absolute superpower.
Yes. I see Ills OG in the chat. Vulnerability is an absolute superpower. Actually,
yes.
Another friend of mine here named Melissa who said, you can be the sweetest, juiciest peach on the tree, and someone will still hate peaches. And
that's right. That's right. Like, for example, I'm allergic to watermelon. Like, what the hell? Who's allergic to flipping watermelon? Like me. Like, I swear, in Turkey, I'm in Istanbul right now, you're walking on the street, and there's this, dude that's got, all this amazing, and you could smell it. You could smell how sweet it is as you walk by the melon. And for me, I'm like, oh, my gosh, it smells so good. But in reality, that thing will make my throat swell up, and I'm going to, die in Istanbul. So I can't have the watermelon. And other people are like, what are you talking about? You're allergic to watermelon? Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah.
Yes. I'm so grateful that you shared the things you shared. I hope that everybody here is taking notes and really just thinking about, how can you show up authentically for yourself today? What can you do immediately following this live? What can you do to be vulnerable, to show up as your unapologetic self? It is hard. Like you said, you will fall flat on your face sometimes. That will happen. But you got to keep going to the edge of that cliff and jumping the hell off. Because at the end of the day, that's the only way you're going to find out whether or not you will fly.
I think that's right. It's like, for example, I'll give a couple of shout outs to some of the startups that I'm working with now. So Moha is here, and I'm working with their team from Metacore, which they created the first legal metaverse. So imagine, you've done let's say you've hired a creative person to do a logo or something like that, and you've come to terms. Imagine doing, a smart contract, in this platform, and imagine something goes wrong. Let's say you delivered the logo, I don't know, Steve didn't pay you for your logo, and you've got a place to go. Because think about it, how much does a logo cost? Not that much, right? Are you going to take somebody to small claims court? Probably not. You know, are you going to hire a lawyer? Probably not, right? And so imagine you've got this place to go for arbitration and mediation, all happening in the metaverse. So that's what they created. It's pretty cool. But
wow.
I committed to this timeline, right? I mean, like, we signed a contract and everything, and I'm like, yeah, it's going to take me blah. I started working on the damn pitch deck, and I'm like, holy smokes, this is hard. You know, I got too many slides. I like, how do I describe this thing? So I don't know how many weeks late I was, but I was late. Mohawk probably knows exactly how many weeks late I was. And I was really shy to come back and finally present it. But it was like one day I woke up and it just kind of hit me. Like, oh my gosh, I know the narrative. Like, now I know what the narrative is. And so I put it together, and you know, Mahmoud, my partner, can testify that it was like all of a sudden I got it, and then it was like, I don't know, like 2 hours, I banged out the whole entire thing, even though I'd been sitting on it for like whatever, you know, number of weeks. And I you know, sent it over to Moha, and he's like, oh my God, this is great. Like, and he had an opportunity to pitch it and present it to someone, and he could tell the difference between how he described it before and how he described it after. Wow. And what I realized through all of this is what I thought was my failure. I committed to getting it done in this amount of time. I didn't do that. It didn't happen. But what happened is I created a much better work product by taking that extra time, instead of kind of giving him all of my rubbish so I could hit the timeline, you know? Instead of me looking at it like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm such a failure. I didn't deliver it on time. You know, Moha came back and like, oh my God, this is like rad awesome. I don't even care about the timeline anymore. Like, holy smokes, this is rad. Like, I feel like you can talk about my business better than I can. Like, how did we get to this place? And Moha, you be honest if I jack that up at all. But that's one of the examples of the companies that I'm working with, and one of the examples of how you can be vulnerable at work, how you can fail or think you failed, but in reality, maybe it took a little bit more time, but the end result was much better than it could have ever been. So
right. And really what you're saying, Melissa, is that when you decided to be vulnerable in work and say, actually, I haven't gotten this thing done on time, I do need more time, what you actually did was operate from a place of integrity. You said, at the end of the day, this is who I am. This is the type of product I guarantee you to deliver. I'm going to be honest with you and say that I cannot deliver this product with integrity in the timeline, but I will give it to you when the time is right. And that's exactly what you did. Turned out to be fantastic.
So I know that Anna is also, I think she's still online. So Anna is another amazing entrepreneur that I'm working with, and she is all about mompreneurs, right?
Oh, nice.
Mompreneurs. Yeah. So think about like the job that a woman has. And I'm sorry if there's something loud in the background. I'm in Istanbul, and my airplane or my hotel Wi-Fi was not working, so I'm improvising. So apologies to Kiara. I don't know, Kiara.
Yeah, Kiara. She was also a guest on the show, Melissa. So I love that she's here and checking in. We appreciate you, but it's okay. We'll continue even with some noise.
We're working the best way we can. But yeah, so Anna has this total mom. She does a bunch of really badass stuff for women, specifically for moms. And I'm helping her right now. It's funny because as I was like talking and thinking, oh, is she here? She's probably gonna be like, okay, girl, you missed the timeline, and I am gonna be completely on your tail. So don't worry, Anna, we're going to get through it. We're going to create badass results and rock all the female mompreneurs out there in Canada. So
yes, I love this. I love that you're shouting out some of the different companies that you're working with, so many different entrepreneurs that you're supporting. And I'm cognizant that we have about 10 minutes left on the live here. So I want to give you the chance to talk about, since leaving the corporate space, since fully stepping into the entrepreneur that you are, since fully stepping into the space, talk to us more about what you're doing now. Give all the shout outs to all the amazing people you're working with. We got 10 minutes. Lay it on us.
Super. So just to give you a flavor, I left IBM in June, and I was planning to leave IBM at some point, but I was thinking it was going to be probably more toward 2023. And frankly speaking, I just, had some uncomfortable conversations with some folks who were like, wow, you're an entrepreneur and you're working a corporate job. How can you do both? And I'm like, you know what? Why should my employer be in my bedroom? And what I mean by that is, you shouldn't care about who I sleep with, who I marry, how many kids I have. Why should you care what I'm doing in my free time? It's not your business.
Sure.
And I have this fundamental belief, as long as you are not creating a conflict of interest, making bad decisions, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want to do in your free time.
Girl, you better preach. You better preach.
Exactly. If you're not going to pay me what I deserve to be paid, what the market demands for my role and my salary and blah, 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 then you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do in my free time if it has nothing to do with your business, if it's not a conflict of interest. So at any rate, I could see that I was teetering on that line of starting to be on the radar of some folks that I didn't want to be on. And again, I wasn't doing anything unethical, but I was like, no, I don't want any phone calls from y'all.
Yep.
Nobody wants compliance to give them a call. Let me
Not
tell
at
you,
all.
it ain't fun. No. Sorry if you're working in compliance. I give you mad shout outs. But at any rate, I decided, no, I'm doing my entrepreneur thing, started doing that. I've got a lot of things that I'm working on. One, I have an ed tech platform. Right now, the company's called Skills Hustle. We're kind of toying around with whether we're going to do something different with that. And we've done a lot of really fun, cool, things thus far, more to come. And it is all about enabling people to prepare for the future of work. That's entrepreneurship skills, digital skills, and what I call habits and attitudes. Fancy way of saying professional development skills. We've got 24 learning journeys, and those learning journeys involve gamification, practical skill building, hackathons, all kinds of really fun, cool things. So instead of like watching a video, taking a quiz, and getting a certificate, you're practicing your skills in real-time, real-world scenarios. We're doing some kind of informal raise right now with family and friends and trusted, avenues. That's one. I've got some really fun things that I've been doing in Cape Verde, and I look forward to doing more. Hey, Joelle, nice to see you. Go Cape Verde.
Woo!
And we'll see what's going to happen. We'll see what's going to happen there. I would say that I am waiting to see if some things land for us. Oh, Cabo Verde, I miss you too. Obrigada. Brinde. I wish I had a beer. I would say brinde. Which means cheers in Portuguese. At any rate, I've got some things that I would love to land in Cape Verde, but it's still a bit too premature for me to formally make an announcement. I do not believe in making an announcement until I see money in the bank, and right now I don't have the money in the bank. So let's see. More to come on that. We'll talk later. My nonprofit's still rocking and rolling. We've taught tens of thousands of young people to code in 12 countries. I've got some things that I'm doing in the crypto world. I've got some things that I'm doing. Oh gosh, what else am I doing? What else am I forgetting? Oh, there's so much. There's so much going on.
There's so much, Melissa. Honestly, I have to say, I love following you on LinkedIn because every day it's a different picture in a different country with a different speech, a different presentation.
Yes, you reminded me. I'm in Turkey.
Yes.
What am I doing here?
Yes.
So there are some very interesting, kind of calls for participation happening with the ITU, so the International Telecommunication Union, which is the ICT branch of the UN. And I have been part of putting two, yes, you heard it, two proposals into the UN. One is to create a center of excellence for digital skill building in Istanbul, and it would be focused on not just what's happening in Turkey, but also thinking about languages that include French, Arabic, Turkish, English, and really creating a center of excellence for digital skill building, for entrepreneurship and professional skills. Today I was with the rector of the university having coffee, and we've got some really big ideas, big plans. We'll see what's going to happen there. As I mentioned, two proposals. I was also part of working together with the Ministry of Digital Economy, Digitet, which I can't remember what Digitet stands for, but it's this long thing that's all about IT stuff in Cape Verde, as well as the tech park in Cape Verde. And we have jointly applied to become a ICT center of the ITU. We'll see. They have to go through their decision making and all of that stuff. So who knows? We may get it, we may not. But I feel very proud that I was part of requesting that the UN recognize these two concepts. We'll see what's going to happen with them. But more to come. More to come on that as well. I'm very much an entrepreneur at heart. I'm very much someone who believes in doing well while doing good, which means making the world a better place and also making money at the same time. There is no trade-off between making the world a better place and making money. I don't believe in just creating, philanthropic endeavors and charity. Yeah, we will, Joelle. We will absolutely get it. And hey, Chess. Hi, Jess. Nice to see you. But yeah, absolutely. I really hope. It's just this big dream that I have to make the world more digitally connected, to enable young people to transform their lives from being consumers of technology into creators, makers, and doers empowered by technology.
Melissa, you are speaking my language, and I am so grateful that you have shared what you've shared today here on NIKKI BANZ Live, your personal journey and how you have been able to transition that into your passion, into the way you've been able to work with young people across the globe to bridge that digital gap, to ensure that people have the intelligence that they need, the information that they need to, like you said, be creators, be doers, not just be consumers of technology.
Yeah, we don't need just people who are, kind of mind-numbingly going through, social media. We all have these unique, innate abilities to fish, not to eat the fish. So,
yes.
That's what
and I think after hearing your talk today, many people are going to go home and try and figure out what their fish is. What is their talent? What is their unique?
Everybody's got one, and you might not know what it is right now. It might take you, and I hope you don't have a personal tragedy that leads you to your superpower. But you know what? Things just happen, and go with the flow. I always say, and I learned this from my friend Brian, go with the flow of business. Trust the flow of business, and things will just come, And I hope that things come for you. I forgot one more shout out. I just realized I am also working with a company that I expect to be kind of the next coming of Alibaba, for those of you who are familiar with Alibaba. My buddies at One World, at 1WB, they're doing some really interesting activities when it comes to multi-currency payments. And which I think, you know, for those of us who are not payment experts, are like, okay, whatever, multi-currency payments and, you know, whatever, but it's actually very sexy. For those of us who are thinking of creating super apps and enabling the woman at the bottom of the pyramid, the unbanked woman, to be able to sell her wares to anyone, anywhere. So there you go.
Oh my gosh, no, I am personally very interested in multi-currency payments. I have Turkish Airlines owes me money because they said they couldn't refund it to me in dollars because I paid in dirhams, and I was like, what? So
there we go. Yeah, One World Blockchain.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, Simon. Yes,
Literally,
One World Blockchain. They're making magic, and I think they are going to put the world on notice as well. So we've talked about Total Mom, we've talked about One World Blockchain, we've talked about Metacore, we've talked about Cabo Verde Digital, all kinds of things, and I think we're up on time, if I'm not mistaken. Nikki, keep me honest.
We are right up on time, but once again, Melissa, just hearing your perspective, you sharing this today, I'm seeing so many comments from people in the chat saying that this has been so inspiring. Thank you for sharing. That this is exactly what they needed to hear today. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you, Melissa, that I have been such a fan of yours for so long, especially because you are one of the only people that I know similar to me who can speak on a United Nations panel and then immediately following go out and go dance and go party and go have a good time. And
no. I know one more person who is on this chat right now, and that's Malik Omri. But I will tell you, if Malik's listening, you and I come there looking good. Malik comes in looking green. His face is just green as green. So you and I rock it. Malik turns green.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, you, me, and Malik need to hang out. We'll all go on a UN panel, and then we'll all go party together, because that's the life that we choose to live, and it's beautiful.
Awesome.
Melissa,
thank you, Nikki. Thank you so much for having me. I hope that, you know, our talk today lived up to everyone's expectations, and I hope you leave inspired. I hope you leave, I don't know, thinking about what your thing is. So whatever that thing is, go out and do that thing. And don't be afraid. Even if you suck at it, it's okay.
It is A-OK. Thank you, Melissa, for being here on NIKKI BANZ Live. If you're not following Melissa yet on Instagram, go and do it right now. I am Sassafras.
Enter at your own risk.
Enter at your own risk. Go to the top of your screen, click the little white arrow. You can follow Melissa on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at They Call Me Bands. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to watch Melissa's interview again and again and again. Melissa, this has just been such a joy, such a treat.
Thank you.
I'll wait till I see you in person again.
I know. I'm gonna send you a virtual hug for now with my beautiful, beautiful silk jacket from Istanbul. I'm giving you a hug. It's
gorgeous.
So soft,
I'm also rocking the little evil eye today. So
I love it. I need all the like evil eye, not the evil eye banishing. That's
yes. Oh, we got that Turkish Persian connection here. We're sending all
I'm feeling it.
Banishing
I'm
all
feeling
the evil spirits as we live our best lives.
I'm feeling it.
Thank you, Melissa. I'll chat to you.
Thank you.
Soon. Thank you, everyone. This is
Bye, everyone.
Live. We'll see you next Tuesday.